G'day guys, this is a special edition of Jersey Talk, and today we've got a special guest with us today. We've got Brad from Next Level Personalising. Now at Next Level Personalising, they're responsible for doing all the personalising on the Queensland Maroons kit, from all the way through the playing stuff to the training gear, as well as a number of NRL teams. So, hey, welcome aboard, Brad.
G'day, how are we?
We're good. So thanks for coming in today. Today is more about getting an understanding of everything that goes into all the stuff that you do to put the Maroons jerseys on the players and on the field.
Yep.
So I was hoping you could talk us a bit through it all.
What would you like to know?
Well, first of all, it's like, what is it you actually do?
Right, so we're responsible to put the names and numbers and embellishments on the jerseys. Obviously, you can't do that in advance. They don't know who they're picking, so they can't have infinite numbers of jerseys ready for multiple options. So team gets announced and we make sure that everyone's both on field, training, all sorted so they know whose gear's whose.
Okay, so let's say that the team's announced on Sunday night or a Monday morning. Mm-hmm. When does your work begin?
About 2 weeks before that.
2 weeks before that.
We will start obviously before the players, before the teams announce and things like that. The coaching staff are all locked away. They get bags, backpacks, things like that all have their names on it. So we start with that. Then as the team gets announced, we've already cut. We work off a larger extended squad. We cut pretty much every possibility up to, say, a 35 to 40 man squad.
So just to be clear, this is vinyl cut that you will then apply onto the actual kit themselves, a heat seal. Heat seal stuff. So every player will get personalised a backpack, a travel bag, a training jersey, a captain's run jersey, an Indigenous jersey, a hat, and then per game 2 on-field players' jersey, like 2 jerseys for the game. Excellent. So with that, what goes on to the jerseys? Is it just their name? Is it their fog number? What?
Yep. So with the training gear and the backpacks, it's either their fog number or surname or a combination of the both. Fog number on the front, name on the back for the training jerseys. The backpacks and wheelie bags tend to just have fog numbers, which is a number they're assigned based on the order in which they debut. I think we're up to 229 players that have played for Queensland. They are in order from Artie Beetson, number 1, right through to, I think the last one might be Tommy Gilbert, I believe, is fog number 228.
Yep.
Tommy Dearden's 227, I believe. So we'll have to double check that.
Okay, so you'll pre-cut all this stuff ready to go into camp based on all the players that are selected.
Yep.
So what does camp day look like?
It's hectic. Camp day is a beehive of activity because it's not just coaching staff and players. There's a support team of about 20 to 30 people that are assisting everyone to get everything done, because in that day one of camp, they're fitting out for all their gear, which is where we get involved. There's also formal gear that they get. There's also, the photo shoots where they get to hold the football out like this and give it these ones with their junior clubs and all that sort of stuff. So that's all happening in the room and stuff. It's pretty exciting to get in there. One of the biggest eye openers is it's not necessarily the people you expect to be in that room that are in that room. It's the people that you don't expect to be in that room, but then when you think about it for 30 seconds, they absolutely should be in that room, like Alan Langer. You might walk past Wally Lewis outside and things like that. It's those type of guys that you go, oh, wow, He's here.
All right, so you go into camp, and who does the fitting out of the players to get the sizes and that sort of stuff?
Yep. So that's our responsibility. We help the players. They get to try on the sizes that they want. I mean, they have a fair idea they come from Clubland and go, and Clubland I wear a small, so we're not going to give them a 3XL to try on. You just start with the small, and if it's a smaller cut than what they're used to, Puma make this, so their club might be Castor, might be a different make cut. So we start with what they wear at Clubland and work from there.
Excellent. So you go through the squad of what, about 20 odd players, 22, something like that?
There's been more the last few years with COVID restrictions, because they'd have to bubble and bring people in, but normally it's about 18 that go into camp, maybe 18 to 20.
They bring in those extended players and then let them go back. So in previous years, I've noticed that they start training on day one. So does that mean that you've got to get the training gear ready for them straight out of the gates?
Not necessarily. There's usually a few guys that have to do that might have to do a fitness assessment or something, or an injury assessment. Sorry, rather, they're all pretty fit. An injury assessment. So we have to not necessarily have to get their training gear, because they have other gear that's not personalised that they can wear. Day one of camp, it's fairly gathering of gear, but
so they're issued all their basic gear, and then you start doing the personalised stuff for them. So ultimately, jerseys, bags, and the rest.
Everything that we need to do has to be done on that first day, because they then take it from. Sorry, we should explain. First day of camp is at usually in the underbelly of Suncorp Stadium, in the dressing sheds and things down there. They then go from there to the camp, wherever the coaching staff have determined that this year we're going here for camp.
So in previous years, been the Gold Coast.
Yeah, it's most likely down the Gold Coast. That's where they've been for the last lot of years. Varying locations on the Gold Coast, of course, but it's most likely to be down there. But we need to have all that stuff ready, so that at the end of day one, they can pack it all up and take it with them to the Gold Coast, assuming that the very next day they'll be wearing the training shirt or something at some sort of session.
Excellent. So talk me through everything that goes on to, let's say, a training shirt to start with, or a training jersey, and then we'll talk about the actual playing kit later.
Training shirts, captain's run jersey, and Indigenous jersey, it's literally just the player's surname and their FOG number if they have one. If they are yet to debut or it's their first time in camp, they'll just have their surname on the back, no FOG number. You get that once you've debuted.
Okay.
So that'll go on your game day jersey. You'll get your FOG number on your game day jersey with debut, and then from that moment on, it'll go on to all of your other training gear.
Okay, so FOG number and surname, and then you get into the playing kit, and that's where all the special stuff comes on.
That's where it gets really interesting. So basically, playing the number that they wear on the field, their surname, any sleeve numbers if they've decided that if there's sleeve numbers in the design, match details, where the game is played, the date, and the FOG number and debut, and then special players. For example, Dane Gagai, Josh Papali'i have all earned Dick Tosser-Turner medalists, which means they've played 20 games or more for Queensland. They get that on their sleeves. I believe Daly Cherry Evans is earning his 20th game, would be game one this year. So he'll likely get something like that.
Now, you mentioned that debut players will have debut and their FOG number ready to go on their very first game. I've seen a few late shuffle arounds. How does that affect what you do?
Greatly. Greatly. We've had all sorts of situations where we've had to, on game day, racing around, and we're fixing it because if one person is out and there's a shuffle, that could affect 4 or 5 jerseys behind that person.
So, for example, last year when Munster was ruled out and Dearden came in, and because he
leapfrogged in front of a few people,
Gilbert and a few others, yeah.
So we have to remove numbers, replace numbers, and fix all of the subsequent fallout from that. And we have to have it done by game day. And
wow.
And we're held to the same standard as the players. We need to be perfect, so we've got to get it done.
Have you ever made a mistake?
Yes, and I'm not going to talk about it any further. No, it's just as simple as number or letter falling off.
Yep.
That's not supposed to happen. That can happen.
Right. So did you do a lot of testing to make sure that that they stick on? And
given the right amount of time, we get we call them high performance jerseys or on field jerseys. We get them in advance. We send as part of the proofs. We do them up, send the images through to get the final okay. But that's our opportunity to test and make sure there's not some waterproofing on this jersey that the vinyl doesn't like or stick to and things like that.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Are there specific fabrics that works better than others? Like, are some of the jerseys that come out now with a little bit extra silicone and whatnot on them make it more difficult?
One of the biggest problems we have is the silicone grip on the front. Once we start heat sealing things on, that can get a bit hot, and if you stack another number on top of it, you'll get little tiny lines in the number that show up, and that's a nightmare.
Now, a lot of the people out there wouldn't have seen a player's fit jersey, but I've got to see a few up close, and they look like triangles.
Yeah.
How do you go putting names and numbers on some of those small ones where they come to a waist that big when they're not stretched over a player?
You just have to stretch them out as best you can over the plate, and some of them you'd struggle to stretch over a 30 centimeter plate. They're just tiny, and they like them tight, so they can't get. Yeah, big man, small jersey. No one wants to end up on the highlight reel getting ragdolled. So
yeah, well, Gordon Tallis has brought that rule in.
Well, he was on the right side of it, so yeah. But jerseys are tight. They don't like to be grabbed. They don't like to be swung around, so they slim fit them as much as they possibly can.
Just on that, do the players tend to go with the same sizes when they're from their training gear to their playing gear, or do they like a bit more of a loose fit?
A bit more of a loose fit. Some are different. Some want the same all the way through because they want to train the way they play. Others like to breathe, so they want a little bit loose fitting. There's also the rare occasions for certain players that will have an increased media duties. They'll get to. There's more photo shoots and things like that, so they might have a more like a retail version of the jersey done up with all the full game specs, which is just a bit more comfier to wear. It's shaped a bit different.
Yeah, allows them to breathe.
Now,
if you wind back to last year, Forex did a promotion where they put postcodes over the Forex on one of the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there? Because I noticed they were different for each game, and different for every player. What was the story behind that?
Different specs. That was one. I don't know the exact story, but game 2 of last year, the players wore their junior club postcodes on their sleeves, and then Forex were running a promotion for around certain areas and certain postcodes and people of certain postcodes. So
they around flood relief or something along those lines.
Something like that, yes. And I believe it was celebrating certain people in certain areas and certain things like that. So game 3, they had players were assigned certain postcodes to represent.
Okay. Excellent. So even the debut players, or do they have their?
Even the no, sorry, the debut players had their junior. They were allowed to play in their junior clubs.
So how do you go about doing that? You just print out something and stick it over the
yeah. We have to use special printed vinyl to make sure that you can't see what's underneath it. It has what we call a dye migration level inside the vinyl so that it doesn't show through. And we print it out, a mil bigger than the 4X logo and stick it on and press it down so you can't tell.
Away you go. And every player gets 2 players' jerseys.
Yep.
Do you find that they wear them both in the game, or you don't know?
It doesn't. I'm not in the shed on game day, unfortunately. QRL, I'm available.
I've got my boots.
Yeah, no, no, too old, too broken. Some do, some don't. Some like to be fresh in the second half and wear it. Others, once they've got it on, they can't get it off anyway, so they might as well just stay in it, unless it's ripped or got blood on it. I think they'll keep it the same.
Excellent.
Don't change what's not broken.
Excellent. And you go into camp again this year, and I'm sure you're all prepared.
No. No. Like all things, things change at the last minute. But we're as prepared as we can be, and we'll get the job done.
So you do the Queensland Maroons, but in the men's team, you do the women's team and the junior teams as well?
Correct, yes.
Excellent. So pretty much lockout May through to July, you are...
Gone. Yep. Yep. No fun. But I have a job to do.
Doing your part for Queensland.
Doing my part, yep.
Excellent. Well, mate, thank you very much for a little bit of insight that some people would never have heard before or seen before. So much appreciated.
Perfect.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Bye.